Disclaimer: this content is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as professional psychological advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you're experiencing manipulation or abuse, please contact appropriate professional services. Narcissistic personalities can devastate your mental health, career, and relationships. Yet they often follow predictable patterns. Recognizing these patterns early can protect you from serious emotional damage. In this video, we'll explore 11 research-backed red flags that indicate you may be dealing with a narcissistic individual. Understanding these warning signs allows you to set boundaries, protect your well-being, and avoid unnecessary harm. 1. Excessive self-focus. Narcissistic individuals consistently make conversations revolve around themselves. This goes far beyond occasional self-reference or normal confidence. It is a pervasive pattern. If you share good news about a promotion, they immediately pivot to their career success. Mention a health concern, and they begin recounting their own medical history. They rarely ask follow-up questions, interrupt your stories, or show impatience when you speak. Conversations with them often feel like monologues with brief pauses. Psychologically, this behavior stems from fragile self-esteem masked by grandiosity. Research in the Journal of Personality reveals that narcissists spend significantly more time discussing themselves than control groups. 2. Lack of genuine empathy. Narcissists have what psychologists describe as empathy deficits. They may mimic emotional responses, but they cannot truly resonate with others' feelings. When you are upset, a narcissist may become irritated instead of showing concern. They might dismiss your pain with phrases like "you're overreacting" or "get over it," and frequently make your emotions about them. "Your sadness is stressing me out." Brain imaging studies confirm reduced activity in empathy-related areas among individuals with narcissistic traits. This lack of empathy is pervasive and inflexible, affecting close relationships while leaving them able to show concern in low-stakes situations like public events or interactions with strangers. 3. Grandiose self-image. Narcissists maintain an inflated sense of superiority disconnected from actual achievements or abilities. They constantly compare themselves favorably to others, believe that only certain special people can understand them, and expect privileges without earning them. This rigid grandiosity serves to shield deep feelings of inadequacy and shame. For those around them, this means constantly supporting their exaggerated self-view. You may feel compelled to inflate their accomplishments or stay silent about their failures to avoid conflict, as any challenge to their superiority is perceived as a threat or betrayal. 4. Exploitative behavior. Narcissists view relationships as transactions, using people as resources rather than valuing them intrinsically. Professionally, they may take credit for your work or delegate blame while claiming success. Personally, they expect favors without reciprocation and extract emotional support or resources without consideration. Socially, they may maintain relationships purely for status or utility, discarding connections when no longer useful. Research consistently shows higher scores of exploitativeness and entitlement in narcissistic individuals. Their rationalization is rooted in their grandiose self-image: "I deserve this," or "they should be honored to help me." 5. Hypersensitivity to criticism. This is commonly called narcissistic injury. Narcissists react explosively to even minor criticism because it threatens their carefully constructed grandiose self-image. They can dish out criticism constantly, but cannot tolerate receiving it. Typical responses include rage, defensive aggression, prolonged silent treatment, or turning criticism back on you with intensified accusations. Even gentle, constructive feedback can trigger these responses. This hypersensitivity stems from fragile self-esteem hidden behind a facade of superiority. 6. Chronic envy. Narcissists display persistent envy while simultaneously believing others envy them. When you succeed, they minimize your achievement, highlight flaws, or immediately compete by showcasing their own accomplishments. They rarely celebrate your successes because it threatens their self-image. Studies confirm envy is a core feature of narcissistic personality patterns. driving constant comparison and toxic competition. The result is that you might downplay achievements, hide good news, or even self-sabotage to avoid provoking their envy. 7. Absence of authentic vulnerability. Genuine vulnerability, admitting mistakes, sharing fears, or showing weakness, is absent in narcissistic individuals. Any display of emotion may appear calculated or manipulative rather than authentic. Their false persona is carefully maintained to protect their grandiose self-image. They rarely apologize sincerely, never admit mistakes without extreme circumstances, and interpret others' vulnerability as a tool to exploit. This lack of authenticity prevents true intimacy, leaving you to share your genuine self while interacting with a carefully crafted mask. 8. Boundary violations. Narcissists consistently disregard personal boundaries, viewing them as obstacles to control. Physical, emotional, and time intrusions are common. They may read your messages, demand private thoughts, appear uninvited, or expect immediate availability. Enforcing boundaries often leads to accusations, withdrawal, or escalated testing, with the narcissist framing reasonable limits as personal attacks. This systematic violation of boundaries erodes your autonomy and sense of self, making your time, privacy, and personal space negotiable, rather than respected rights. 9. Selective amnesia. Narcissists often forget promises, agreements, or harmful behaviors, but only when it benefits them. They remember every perceived slight against themselves, but deny their own misdeeds. For example, if you remind them of a promise, they might insist it never happened, making you doubt your own memory. This selective amnesia allows them to avoid accountability and destabilizes your perception of reality. Over time, it forces you to document interactions meticulously and fosters self-doubt, a psychological strategy that protects their fragile self-image. 10. Image management obsession. Narcissists are obsessed with curating a flawless public persona, often contrasting sharply with private cruelty or manipulation. They seek admiration from outsiders to validate their grandiose self-image, isolating you in the process. They may appear charming and generous publicly while being controlling, cold, or abusive in private. Social media posts, public gestures, and outward appearances are carefully managed to maintain this illusion. 11. Conditional relationship maintenance. With narcissists, affection and approval are entirely conditional and transactional. You receive love or attention only when supporting their ego, not making demands, or enhancing their image. Conversely, expressing needs, achieving success, or asserting boundaries can trigger withdrawal or punishment. This intermittent reinforcement creates powerful trauma bonds, where you constantly try to earn back affection. Recognizing these 11 red flags allows you to protect your mental health and set boundaries with confidence. You cannot change or fix a narcissistic individual. They require professional intervention that they rarely seek. If you identify multiple red flags in someone you know, trust your assessment. Reflect on which patterns have been most damaging in your experience, and consider how to safeguard yourself. Awareness and early recognition are your strongest tools against narcissistic harm. If you identified multiple red flags in someone you know, trust your assessment. These patterns are research-backed and clinically recognized. Remember, you cannot fix, change, or love a narcissistic individual into healthy behavior. They require professional intervention. They typically won't seek. Which red flag has been most damaging in your experience? Share in the comments. Your story might validate someone else's reality. Creating videos on these topics takes a lot of research and hard work. If you enjoy the content, the best way to support us is by subscribing to our channel and leaving a like and comment. Your support motivates us to keep delivering high-quality videos. Subscribe for psychology content that protects your mental health and helps you recognize harmful patterns. Click the bell for notifications. Next video, I'll teach you exactly how to protect yourself when you must interact with narcissistic individuals. You won't want to miss this essential information. This content is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not professional psychological advice, therapy, or medical guidance. The information presented is based on psychological research and principles, but should not replace consultation with licensed mental health professionals. If you are experiencing abuse, manipulation, or mental health concerns, please contact National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. Crisis Text Line. Text HOME to 741,741 your local mental health services. The creator and channel are not responsible for any actions taken based on this information.